Energy is the lifeblood of every nation. China is leaving the West for dead. Peter Dutton enters the fray by rightly saying that by legislating emission targets, radical activists will be able to use the courts to seek legal interpretation of what the statute means in order to shut down everything from cattle farms to road upgrades on the basis of climate change. Dutton has said, quote, "The experience overseas has shown that legislating emissions targets hands control over major infrastructure projects to green activists," unquote. In the face of opposition by the bedwetters in the opposition, people like Simon Birmingham, the coalition did not support the Bowen legislation. Peter Dutton warned that once emission targets become law, legal and local activists will follow the example set by the environmentalists overseas to try to stop the government from financing or supporting a range of critical projects. Indeed, the Albanese government has already mentioned outfits like Infrastructure Australia and Export Finance Australia, which by law will have to take emissions targets into account. And so, get ready for an all-out attack on gas drilling, beef processing, the building of roads and ports. Do they meet legislated emissions targets? Well, it's already started. Clive Palmer has a coal-fired power station project in central Queensland. For the first time ever in this country, a federal government has proposed to reject such a project. The Queensland Labor government recommended rejection last year. And what does the Greens leader Adam Bandt had to say? I quote, "This is one down, 113 to go. There are 114 of these projects in the pipeline," unquote. Palmer is talking about the only proposal in Australia for a low emissions coal-fired power station. High efficiency, low emissions, which would be supplied with coal by Palmer's nearby Galilee Basin coal mine. It would be carbon neutral, or carbon dioxide neutral, and achieve net zero emissions. Indeed, Palmer's company has committed to buying carbon offsets and developing carbon capture and storage technology. The power plant would be built on a cattle property near Alpha, 440 kilometres west of Rockhampton in central Queensland. And Palmer's company Waratah Coal says it will need 545 workers during construction and 90 to operate the power station. None of that counts. The company has correctly said the project is consistent with the government's renewable energy and emissions reduction targets and would further reduce emissions by replacing older and less efficient power stations. But the Labor government wants the support of the Greens in the Senate. The sun will come up in the west before a high-efficiency, low-emissions, coal-fired power station is built in this country under a Labor government. The reason Mr Albanese says he won't ban coal and gas exploration is that he wants the export income, but he won't allow Australians to take advantage of our own resources. Dutton is right. He must keep his nerve and prosecute the case over and over and over again. This legislation is taking Australia into a litigious world and a world of energy poverty. China will plough on regardless and will be happy to build our solar panels and wind turbines and then happily reflect on the mugs that we are.